Arman Tsarukyan is looking to bring some order to the chaotic lightweight title picture. Following Ilia Topuria's knockout win over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 to claim the vacant lightweight championship, speculation began to swirl about who might challenge him first. Among the top names in the mix, Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, and Paddy Pimblett. Right now, Pimblett seems to be the early frontrunner after an in-cage stare-down with Topuria at UFC 317. However, nothing has been officially confirmed, and Tsarukyan has a proposal to sort things out. Of course, I want Islam Makhachev, Tsarukyan told Chuck Liddell on the Out Cold show. But at this moment, it makes more sense to fight Gaethje. He just beat Rafael Fiziev, who was ranked around number 11. That doesn't earn him a title shot, especially after losing to Max Holloway. He barely edged out a decision against Fiziev, who took the fight on 5 days' notice. And now he's calling for a title fight? That's not fair. He needs to go through me first if he wants that shot. Jon Jones scheduled for 2 bench trials related to allegedly leaving the scene of an accident. Former UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones has 2 important court dates upcoming related to the same case after he was accused of leaving the scene of an accident back in February. Court records show Jones is scheduled for a bench trial on August 14th based on the charge of leaving the scene of an accident, which is a misdemeanor. The second bench trial is scheduled for September 2, and that's also based on a charge for leaving the scene of an accident along with a secondary charge for use of telephone to terrify, intimidate, threaten, harass, annoy, or offend, another misdemeanor. While both cases are related to the same incident, the second case was filed later, with the additional charge being brought against Jones. His attorney, Christopher Dodd, filed a motion to dismiss the second case due to the duplicate charges against the UFC heavyweight, but the judge has not yet ruled on it. Jorge Masvidal has been planning his UFC return for some time after initially retiring in 2023. When he walked away from the promotion following UFC 287, Gamebred was still a huge star in the sport following his breakout year in 2019. In a recent social media post, his former rival Nate Diaz claimed ownership over the BMF belt by sharing his thoughts after the title was recently defended at UFC 318. With a rematch between Masvidal and Diaz being a pitched matchup for the UFC's 2026 event at the White House, there is still unfinished business between them. Jorge Masvidal attempts to remind Nate Diaz of what happened the first time that they faced off. Despite the fact that the main event of UFC 244 was ended via doctor stoppage, Nate Diaz clearly doesn't believe that he left Madison Square Garden without the BMF title. Diaz claimed that he could have turned the fight around after he lost all 3 of the opening rounds to Jorge Masvidal before the doctors stopped the fight due to the cuts that he had suffered above his right eye. It was an incredibly unceremonious way to crown the first BMF champion, leaving the feeling that this chapter between the 2 opponents wasn't finished. Diaz went on to earn some revenge via majority decision when they faced off for a second time in a boxing ring in July 2024. Jorge says Nate Diaz is a little confused. Michael Chandler sides with Ilia Topuria in dismissing potential Arman Tsarukyan title fight. Michael Chandler believes Ilia Topuria has every right to avoid fighting Arman Tsarukyan. UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria added himself to the promotion's history books when he won a second world title last month at UFC 317. Topuria knocked out Charles Oliveira in brutal fashion in the UFC 317 main event to cap off a remarkable rise to superstardom inside the octagon. After winning the title, Topuria is looking ahead to making his first defense against one of the top lightweight contenders. But Arman Tsarukyan, the division's #1 contender, isn't on Topuria's radar. After Topuria all but shut down a potential Tsarukyan fight for his first title defense, the top lightweight labeled the new title holder scared as he accused the pound-for-pound king of ducking a fight. Tsarukyan will likely have to win at least one more fight, according to UFC CEO Dana White, to warrant another title shot after his shocking UFC 311 pullout. But one of the division's top contenders believes there's more to the story behind Topuria's reluctance to fight Tsarukyan. In a recent post to Threads, Michael Chandler explained why he believes Topuria's refusal to fight Tsarukyan next is a calculated play. Definitely not scared. Nobody wants that nothing burger of a fight, especially not the champ, Chandler opined. Ilia realizes we are in the attention business. Nobody pays attention to that other guy. Chandler and Tsarukyan have had their own feud in recent years, featuring fight-ducking allegations. Tsarukyan was one of the most vocal critics on the UFC roster of Chandler's insistence on waiting it out for a fight with Conor McGregor.